you made it all so good. With a promise, did what you said you would. Oh, I wonder why you're so good to me, how you never leave. Oh, I wonder when joy turns into praise, and it welcomes everyone you've made. Oh, I wonder how you open up my eyes, you change my mind. So we celebrate, 'cause we're not afraid of the mystery. With a little faith and a lot of grace, we can celebrate. Wonder, wonder. Oh, I wonder how I see you everywhere. I remember, and it makes me want to share. Oh, I wonder when I feel you as I serve, how the last are first. So we celebrate, 'cause we're not afraid of the mystery. With a little faith and a lot of grace, we can celebrate. Wonder, wonder. No matter where we look, we find you glorious. You made us very good, and you made us curious. So whether in the soil or in the stars above, or we can see your face, or we can feel your love. But I wonder how justice leads to peace, how we're different, but we're all family. Oh, I wonder how you make me strong, full of hope and a song. So we celebrate, 'cause we're not afraid of the mystery. With a little faith and a lot of grace, we can celebrate. Wonder, 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 wonder.
Well, hi there. Welcome to Sunday School. It's November 15th. We have got a fantastic Sunday School lesson planned for you, and I have some extra special guests for you. So today's magic word is blessing, and I colored it this time. Blessing is all things that God has promised and provides for us. All of our blessings, our family, our church, everything that He provides for us. Okay? So today you're going to learn a lot about blessings through some stories of Isaac and Jacob and Esau. Speaking of Isaac, I was supposed to tell you if Abraham and Sarah had a baby. But I found out that you guys already found out. How could that be? Huh, we'll come back to that. Let's check the Wonder Box. What is a whoopee cushion doing in our Wonder Box today? The only thing I can think of a whoopee cushion for is for practical jokes. You know, Ed's the one that likes to try to do practical jokes. Well, call them practical jokes, or sneaks in my office and does spoiler videos. That's right, kids. I saw the video that he provided. He told you all about Isaac being born. And I know that he came in and he borrowed my Bibles. Oh, yeah, that sneaky little Ed. So, do you think Ed put this in there? Or do you think it was really supposed to be in the Wonder Box? Do you think our stories really have to do with practical jokes? I mean, since I found out Ed likes to tell stories, I did invite him to talk to us today about our stories. More about that later. Well, since I didn't get to tell you a story about Isaac, I'm still going to talk about him. So Isaac was born. And when God told Sarah that she'd have a baby, she was confused and scared. But she had faith and she trusted God. You know, even when we do have faith, we can still be afraid and fearful. I have faith, but I still get afraid. I have fear. So when you have faith, how do you feel? When you have faith, what do you think about? When you have faith, what can you do? And when you have faith, what do you believe? Now, when you only have fear, how do you feel? And what do you think about? And what can you do? And what do you believe? Which way would you rather feel, think, do, and believe? I'd rather have the faith. So when we have fear or be afraid, believe in your faith and let your faith overcome your fear. Because then you can have joy. Think of all the joyful memories you have. Think how happy you were or are. There's 2 worksheets that I sent to your parents. If you want to do more with these and show them to your parents, they're right there. And then see if your parents can help you with this one. Don't read this first. Give it to your parents. And they'll say, hey, give me a name, give me another name, and a noun, and a name, and so on. And then you'll get to read your story. And you'll see what your story is. How sometimes it's kind of funny. And then finally, if you like to do crossword puzzle, there's a crossword puzzle about Sarah and Abraham's family with Isaac. Okay? All right, it's time to sing and dance to our new song, Everywhere You Go.
Sometimes you don't move fast enough for me, and I start playing tricks to get what I think I need. 'Cause I've been known to steal a blessing when my fear gets in the way. But louder than the lies I tell, oh, I can hear you say, I am with you, I'll protect you. Everywhere you go, I will go. Sometimes you give stones when I ask for bread, and so I stack and stand on them to try and see ahead. 'Cause I have given up your blessing just to feed a hungry heart. When altars made of rocks are where you tell me who you are, and say, I am with you, I'll protect you. Everywhere you go, I will go. I am with you, I'll protect you. Everywhere you go, I will go. You are always listening, even when I'm whispering. And every star that's glimmering, it says to me, oh, I am with you, oh, I'll protect you, oh, everywhere you go, I will go. I am with you, I'll protect you. Everywhere you go, I will go.
Were you moving and grooving? I hope so. You know, I got to thinking about the next thing I was going to talk about. We're all unique and different, even in the way we dance, right? The reason why I want to talk again today about unique and different is because the next two people we're going to talk about is Jacob and Esau. Well, they're twins, and everybody thinks twins are supposed to be exactly the same. Well, that's not exactly true. but like just like people in general, we're all different. So we're gonna play this game called Who's Unique in the Staff. So I asked the staff here at church some questions. So your choices are Pastor Jacob, Ed, the youth minister, Leslie, the office manager, Tina, our office assistant, Rachel, choir director. She works with the youth choir too. Nancy, organist, in charge of children's choirs, and me, children's education director. So, who are we? Ready? Okay. This first person likes shrimp to eat. Favorite color is yellow. Likes to read anything by P. Palaco. It's not me, I can't say that. And loves to write and sew. Come on now, the sewing part should give this away. 3, 2, 1. You said Nancy. You got it correct. All right, ready for another one? This person likes to eat popcorn. Their favorite color is turquoise. They like to read, their favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. Their favorite thing is, their favorite books to read are about music. That should be a pretty good clue. And their favorite hobby is watching movies. I wonder if they're musicals. Who is it? 3, 2, 1. If you said Rachel, you got it correct. All right. Here's a toughie. This person likes spicy food. Likes the color blue. Likes to read the Wheel of Time series. Likes comedy. And hobbies are video games and CrossFit. Come on, you can get this one. If you said Pastor Jacob, you are correct. If you didn't know he didn't like spicy food, you need to come to the chili feed. All right, this person likes pizza and nachos to eat. This person doesn't know their favorite color because it's constantly changing. This person's favorite book is called Rainbow Fish. They haven't grown up from children's books, I guess. This person's class, oh, that's what they are. I forgot. They were supposed to tell their favorite class. This person's favorite class is health class. That shouldn't be a giveaway. And their favorite hobby is camping. That's right, it's me! Except I'm trying to go back to Pastor Jacobs. His favorite class is comedy. At least Nancy's favorite class was writing. Rachel's was music class. Okay, ready? This person's favorite food is ice cream. Favorite color is teal. Favorite book is the entire Virgin River series. Their favorite hobby is organizing stuff. Pretty sure they hate my office. Where's the rest of their stuff? Gonna have to look at my text messages. Where are they? Did I forget to write it down? Oh, I don't know. They must not have went to school. They don't have a favorite subject. We're going to have to talk to this person about maybe going back to school. All right. Who is this? Who's very organized? 3, 2, 1. Leslie. All right. This person's favorite food is fish. Favorite color is blue. Favorite book is Hiker's Guide to Galaxy. Favorite class is history. This does not surprise me. Favorite hobbies are running and PlayStation. Who is this? 3, 2, 1. And it's Ed. No wonder Jacob and Ed get along so well. They both like the color blue and they both play video games. I hope Leslie and Nancy are watching them during the day. I hope they're working and not playing video games and practical jokes. Okay. So, before we get into the stories, let's talk about some facts about twins. So, specifically, did you know twins do not have, identical twins don't have identical fingerprints? And in the last 40 years, the number of twins born has increased 74%. Yeah, a lot more twins. And 40% of them, almost half, invent their own language. Have you ever invented your own language to someone? I have. If you ever seen me and Earl together, ask us. We'll talk it. In fact, identical twins are not purely identical. They typically have their own interests and personalities. So, keep in mind, not all identical twins are perfectly identical. How many twins do you know? All right, let's learn about some twins named Jacob and Esau.
Hi, everybody. I am here to talk to you today about the story of Jacob. Okay, so Jacob was one of the kids of Isaac, which we had talked about last time. Remember when I gave you the super secret spoiler? So Abraham was blessed a child, and the child's name was Isaac. Isaac also went on to have kids. He had two of them. One was named Esau, and one was named Jacob. And today we're going to look at their story, okay? So what you need to know is that Esau was born first, although not by much, but he was the oldest, and that meant that he got certain privileges and responsibilities because he was the firstborn. He was a big, strong guy, and as the Bible says, kind of hairy, but he was big and strong and enjoyed working outside and hunting and fishing and hanging out with his dad. Jacob was born slightly smaller and skinnier, but he was smart, and he was his mother's favorite. So where our story goes from here is that we're going to talk about a little fun fact about Jacob. Jacob loved practical jokes. He loved to trick people because he thought it was really funny. And we're going to look at a couple times where he played some jokes on his family that he thought was hilarious, but they did not agree with him.
Hi, I have two stories to read for you today. The first one is Isaac is born, and it's from Genesis chapter 21, verses 1 through 7. A year after the visitors came, Sarah and Abraham did have a baby. They named their baby Isaac. Isaac means laughter. Sarah was full of joy and said, "God has given me joyful laughter. Who would have thought I would have a baby when I was 90 years old?" And this down here says, "I wonder what your name means." Maybe when you're done with Sunday school today, you could ask mom or dad and you guys could find out what your name means. Our second story is called Jacob and Esau, and it comes from Genesis chapter 25, verses 19 through 28. Baby Isaac grew up and married Rebekah. Isaac and Rebekah wanted to have a family. They prayed to God for a baby. Rebekah became pregnant with twin boys. Their names were Esau and Jacob. They were born on the same day, but they were very different. Esau was born first. He had red hair on his head and arms. Jacob was born second. He had dark hair. Jacob and Esau liked different things. Esau liked to be outdoors. He liked to hunt and fish. Esau enjoyed spending time with Isaac. Jacob liked being inside the tent where his family was. He liked to cook and made a delicious lentil stew. Jacob enjoyed spending time with Rebekah. I wonder, what types of things do you like to do?
Thank you, Ed and Callie. We'll get back to you in a second. Also, I sent your parents some other activities. I'm going to break through each time. So, not required to do any of these. These are just kind of fun things I found. You can try to color and design Jacob and Esau for yourself. Take a color marker and draw a line to what Jacob and Esau like. Check with your parents. This has different words. Opposites, love, hate, night, day, strong, weak, beginning, end, circle, square, brother, sister, loud, quiet, and then try to find them in the word find. Okay. And then if you want, try to draw your family. And when you're done drawing your family, try to find the differences between you and your family. You really want to get creative. Draw what you think your twin would look like. Doesn't that sound like fun? All right. So next, we're going to learn a little bit more about Jacob and Esau.
Okay, so the first joke that Jacob played on Esau, they were brothers and sometimes they got along and sometimes they didn't, but Esau was Jacob's favorite target for all of his practical jokes. So one day they were out and Esau had been hunting and fishing all day and he was very, very tired. So he came back to camp and he smelled Jacob was making this amazing, delicious stew and he was very, very hungry. So he walked up to Jacob and said, "Hey, little bro, give me some of that food for I am very hungry." And Jacob says, "No." And Esau thought he was kidding because Jacob's a trickster. And so he said, "No, but seriously, I'm really hungry. Give me some food." And Jacob says, "Nope, you don't get any food." And then Esau gets very panicked because he says, "Surely you have to give me food. I'm your own brother, and if I don't eat soon, I'm afraid I may perish." He was really, really hungry. And so Jacob says, "I'll make you a deal. If you give me your birthright, I will give you all of the stew and bread you can eat." So what that meant, kids, is that as Esau was the firstborn, he was one who was due to inherit the land of Isaac. He would have taken the name and the house and all the property. That was his role in this, as he was the firstborn. So Jacob decided he wanted that instead, so he kind of tricked Esau into signing away his right to be the head of the household when Dad went to go be with God. So Jacob thought it was funny, he thought it was sly, he's like, "Oh, I tricked you, haha." And Esau didn't really think anything of it at the time because he thought Jacob was kidding. So then he eats, he's happy, and Esau ends up falling asleep. Now, since Jacob has the birthright contract in his hand and his big brother is very soundly asleep, snoring very loudly, we're going to get to Jacob's second practical joke.
This story is called The Birthright. It's from Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 through 34. Esau and Jacob continued to grow up. One day, Esau returned home from hunting. Jacob was making lentil stew and Esau was very hungry. "Can I have some lentil stew and some bread, Jacob?" Esau asked. "Sure, if you trade me your birthright for some stew," Jacob said. Esau thought about this. His birthright made him the leader of their family when they became grown-ups. That was several years away. He was hungry now. Did he really need to be the leader and get all the family's treasures? Or did he need to eat? "You can have my birthright," said Esau. "One bowl of stew coming right up," said Jacob. And something to think about is, I wonder, do you think Esau should have agreed to Jacob's deal?
Okay, so that time we learned about the birthright and the practical joke. Wait a minute. The practical joke. That might be why the whoopee cushion is in our Wonder Box. Jacob played a practical joke on Esau to get the birthright. So who knows if it was Ed or if it just was supposed to be in the Wonder Box. That's why I bet this. That is exactly what I'm pretty sure that's why this was in here. Okay, we'll come back to that. But so Jacob played the practical joke on Esau for the birthright. Now, what do you think? Looking at this sheet that your parents have, Esau made a really hard decision and very fast. All because he was hungry. But what if Esau would have stopped? Talk to God for a second. We should always take the time to stop and pray and talk to God before we make a decision. We should always have time. What do you think, Esau? Would have you made the same decision or not? If you want, you could draw it on this. You could also do the connect dots and hang this somewhere, because after this is done, this picture will show you and remind you to pray. Think about some other choices in our life. If your parents ask you to clean your room, well, of course, you like playing with your toys instead. What choice are you going to make? Clean your room or play with your toys? If you make a fast decision, what are you going to choose? If you stop and pray to God, which decision should you make? What if you could sit anywhere you wanted when you go to lunch, and you have a classmate that's sitting all alone, and you're sitting with your friends? If you just make a quick decision, what are you going to do? What if you stopped and prayed and asked God, what might you do? You're watching your favorite TV show in the morning, but your parents tell you to get ready for school. What choice should you make? Should you ask God for some help? You want to go outside and ride your bike with your friends, but you still have homework to finish. What choice should you make? Should you maybe ask God to help you a little bit? All right, one last thing. This one, we're not going to take the time to read, but you older kids, if you want to learn a little bit more about the birthright, have your parents go through this one with you. Sit down, they'll learn a little bit more about the birthrights back then. Now, before we go back to Ed and Callie, if you would like to cut these out, you could kind of act out the next scenes as they talk and read. All right? All right, Jacob. All right, Callie.
So remember he talked about that Jacob had tricked Esau out of being the head of the household. There was one catch. If Jacob really wanted to be in charge, even if it just is a joke to prove he could do it, he had to get a blessing from his father. That's how it worked back in the day. Even though the oldest had the birthright, they also had to have a blessing from the father. So one day when Isaac is very, very old, Jacob comes to him. And at this point, Isaac has a hard time seeing. He's almost blind. But he knows, which he can tell his sons apart, because like I said, Esau, kind of a hairy guy. He's got lots of arm hair and lots of chest hair. Jacob does not. But Jacob really wants that blessing, so he decides he's going to trick his father. And how does he do it? He gets some hair from a goat, or a sheep, I'm not sure which, you'll have to look it up. And he glues it to his arms and his chest, so he feels like he's got a lot of body hair. So he comes into the tent late at night, when his father can barely see, and he says, "Father, I want to take your blessing and go out in the world and go live my life." And Isaac says, "Come here so I may see which one of my sons I'm talking to." And so Jacob does, and he, of course, his dad, who's almost blind, feels his arms and he rubs his chest a little bit, and he had a fake beard on, so he feels that, and so he says, "Oh, this is Esau because he's so hairy." I'm not making this up, kids. Really, that's how he told them apart. One was hairy, one was not. So he thinks he's talking to Esau, and so he happily gives him his blessing. So now Jacob has not only the birthright as well as the blessing of his father, so technically he becomes the head of the household, and he thought he was very clever and very smart and had played the greatest practical joke of all time.
The blessing, Genesis chapter 27, verses 1 through 46. Jacob and Esau got older. Isaac and Rebekah got older. Isaac thought, "I am an old man. It is time to give my blessing to Esau." "Esau, please hunt and make my favorite food. Then I will give you my blessing," Isaac instructed. Esau left in search of food. Rebekah heard Isaac. She wanted Jacob to have the blessing. She helped Jacob dress in disguise so Isaac would believe that Jacob was Esau. Rebekah made Isaac's favorite stew and gave it to Jacob to take to Isaac. Jacob went into Isaac's tent. "Who are you?" Isaac asked. "It's me, Esau," said Jacob. "Here is your food." Isaac ate his food and then prayed a blessing over Jacob. Esau returned to Isaac only to discover that Isaac had given the blessing to Jacob. Esau was very angry. So here's our pictures, and our story wants us to think about, it says, "I wonder, what would you have done if you were Rebekah?"
Aren't those guys great? Don't tell Ed I'm giving him a compliment now. He does do a really good job. But I'm still going to get him back, all right? Well, I am fully convinced now that I've watched Jacob do another practical joke on Esau, getting the blessing from Isaac, that is why the whoopee cushion is in the Wonder Box. I am fully committed to that. Now, something else that I have sent is the blessing cards. Feel free to cut those out. And since we're not always getting to see a lot of people during this COVID time, maybe cut these out and mail them in the actual mail to somebody that doesn't get to see, you don't get to see, or doesn't get to see a lot of people. Okay? They would love that surprise. If you like to do skits at home, this would be fun to do. Get the whole family involved and do the skit, assign parts, and retell the Bible story about how Jacob takes the blessings. Who in your family gets to play the practical joke? Jacob. All right? All right. Well, we're going to finish up the story of Jacob and Esau with Ed and Callie.
Hi guys, we're back, and guys and girls, sorry. Hey kids, we're back. And we had just talked about how Jacob had played what he thought was the greatest practical joke of his life, and he had tricked his father into making him the head of the household. Now, I'm sure you guys may have at one point in your life played a joke on someone that they did not think was funny, and sometimes people get mad. This is very much the case when Esau found out what Jacob had done. He got very, very upset. So upset, in fact, that he said, "The next time I see Jacob, I'm going to hurt him because I'm really mad at him." This word of this had gotten back to Jacob, and he left. He was already the head of the house. He could do what he wanted, so he took off. He actually went into hiding and left his home for fear that Esau was going to be very upset at him. And while he is out wandering around looking for a new place to build a home, at one point he goes into a cave and he falls asleep. He takes a stone to use as a pillow. And while he is sleeping, he has a fantastic dream. In this dream, he sees a ladder that goes up as far as he can see, and it's very shiny, and he sees angels crawling up and down the ladder, and he hears the voice of God explaining to him that if Jacob listens and Jacob is good, that he will also be blessed with the land, just like the promise that God had made Abraham. And so when Jacob wakes up, he says that surely this is a holy place because I have seen the Lord. And then he actually gets afraid because he remembers in his dream that God had told him that he had to obey the rules and be good. And when he's awake, he remembers how poorly he treated Esau when he tricked him. So he makes an altar, or a little stone monument to resurrect, to consecrate the place where he had the dream. And then he decides it's time. So he has to go back and find Esau and apologize. While he's taking this walk back to his home, he is very, very nervous and very, very uncomfortable because last time he heard from Esau, all he heard was that Esau was really mad at him and wanted to hurt him. So he knew that in order to be faithful to God, he had to apologize. So after many days of walking, he comes back into the home and he is waiting. Esau is out hunting and fishing like he does, so he has to wait. I don't know if that's ever happened to you guys. It's definitely happened to me where I did things I wasn't supposed to do and I got in trouble, and then I had to wait for my dad to come home. Ugh, that's one of the hardest things to do. So while Jacob is waiting, he's talking to these people he hadn't seen in a little while, and he finds out that even though he didn't behave very well, everybody else seems to be okay. Finally, Esau comes back, and Jacob gets ready, and he's very, very nervous. Esau sees him and comes running out of the courtyard up to the front steps where Jacob is waiting, and Jacob is super nervous. And Esau comes running up, and he looks at him, and he says, "Jacob!" And he gives him a big hug. And he says, "I know that you tricked me, and I know that you thought you were being funny, but it wasn't. You hurt my feelings. You made me upset. But God is good. I still have a great life. I have a wonderful wife. I've got kids. I'm happy." So Esau looks at Jacob and he says, "You are forgiven. You need to understand that even though you did this for your own personal benefit and mischief, God used it for good." And that's something that we can always remember, right? Even when things don't seem fair and things don't seem right, there are still times where God can use that for good. So that is a story of Jacob. And I hope y'all are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.
All right, this story is called Jacob's Ladder. It's from Genesis chapter 28, verses 10 through 12. Jacob stole Esau's blessing. Esau was very angry. Jacob was very scared, so he ran away to his uncle's house. After a day of walking, Jacob was sleepy. He laid his head on a rock and fell fast asleep. Jacob dreamed about God. He saw a ladder going from the ground up to the sky. God's messengers went up and down. God appeared and said, "Jacob, I am always with you. You will be a blessing." Jacob woke up and knew that God would always be with him. Here's our pictures, and our think about says, "I wonder what was it like to see God?"
What a great story. So always remember God has a plan in all we do. The last few things that I had sent home for you, and these are for a variety of ages. If you would like to do this one, you cut these out, and Jacob goes on the bottom, and the angel's on top, and then you can put it on any kind of paper, draw clouds and stuff. Or if you would like to cut out the staircase, and you come kind of move your hands up and down, or your fingers. And then this one is kind of like a maze, but you got to find all the staircases to get up. Okay? Well, I may have to use this whoopee cushion on a certain guy I know that likes to make spoiler videos and practical jokes. But I have to really think about my practical jokes. Is that really what God has in mind for me? I don't know. We'll have to see. All right. Will you pray with me? This is a repeat after me prayer. Hey, God. Thank you, God, for making us unique and special. Thank you, God, for being with us to make good decisions and having a plan in all we do. Amen. Join us next week for the first week in Advent. And you know what? Ed's a pretty fun guy to work with. And he did so well this week. I hope you enjoyed him because I think I'm going to ask him to help us out on some Advent things. I think I'm going to bring him in on our Sunday school lessons for Advent. What do you think? Yeah, I think so too. So join us next week for the Peaceable Kingdom and the first week of Advent. Have a great week. See ya.